What does he have to offer? We want your questions by email or fax. Start dialing now as well. 1404 525 688 is the number. We're back in a couple of minutes with Q&A.
It's CNN.
As the millennium approaches, old ideas on spiritual power are finding new life. From healing the body to healing the world, advocates say it begins inside each of us. Hello and welcome to Q&A. On this edition, we're examining the concept of spiritual healing. Can it perform modern-day miracles? Will harmony work where missiles fail? Or is this just a symptom of insecurity at the advent of a new era? We have two guests joining us to take your questions and comments. A little later, we'll speak with International Peace Ambassador Sri Chinmoy. But first, we're joined by author Diane Goldner in our New York studio. When we return, how spiritual healing can be applied to the world at large. We'll be joined by International Peace Advocate Sri Chinmoy. He's brought his philosophy to leaders around the world. But then, not many people are going to refuse a request from a man capable of such feats of strength. Sri Chinmoy has demonstrated this by lifting thousands of pounds in one go. We'll ask him what it takes to develop such strength and what the world needs to find its own positive power. Our email address is q&a@cnn.com. We're always eager to hear from you. Stay with us. We're back in a moment. Welcome back. We're looking at the power of spiritual healing. Can this ancient notion be applied to modern conflicts? Or is it naive to think that such archaic beliefs have a place in our technological society? Joining us to address your questions and comments is Sri Chinmoy. He calls himself a student of world peace. This prolific artist and poet has brought his message to people all around the world. And as always, we welcome your questions and comments for our guest. Many of the nations where Sri Chinmoy has travelled are embroiled in conflicts dominating news headlines. With a new era upon us, Sri Chinmoy's efforts may seem a little out of date. Observe what Sri Chinmoy does and a common theme becomes apparent: simplicity. In the colourful acrylic paintings of birds, in the line drawings also of birds, 9 million of them to date, he says. Even in the seemingly random piano notes he hammers out at peace concerts. And in everything, strength. A strength that lets this 67-year-old fitness advocate perform feats that most men half his age would not consider trying. Sri Chinmoy uses these demonstrations to draw attention to his work for peace. He says that physical and spiritual strength works in harmony to create peace. It's a message he's brought to such notable figures as Mother Teresa, Mikhail Gorbachev, and Nelson Mandela, who got a personal demonstration of Sri Chinmoy's ability. Through races, concerts and meditations held each year around the world, Sri Chinmoy calls on nations to remember that all people are brothers and sisters, a philosophy that begins in the heart of each one of us. Well, let's get straight to some questions with Sri Chinmoy. Welcome. Let me start by asking about your message, the message of world peace. Now, what exactly is that? Is that simply not having countries at war?
It is something infinitely more than that. The absence of war is not enough. We must have a feeling of oneness. If you have a feeling of oneness, war does not come into existence. War is in the mind. Love is in the heart. So if you can have love for the whole world, then we will have abiding peace.
Well, Sri Chinmoy, let me get a first caller in with a question to you. We have Rao on the line from London. Go ahead with your question, please, Rao.
Hello, good evening. I'm Rao, and I'm practicing Sahaja Yoga for the last 11 years. I wondered if Chinmoy, this gentleman, had heard about Sahaja Yoga because it has cured cancer and AIDS to a very great degree. And that's been documented by medical doctors.
Okay, Sahaja
Is
Yoga.
it too fast? Shall I speak softly? Sorry.
All right.
What is the question, please?
Yes, it was the caller was asking if you know of what the caller says is a very powerful form of yoga called Haj Yoga.
No, it is Sahaja Yoga.
Oh, so Haj Yoga, that must be it, yeah.
It is Sahaja Yoga. It is something that we can have in our daily multifarious activities, not to lose one's own highest consciousness. When we enter into Hali and Bali of in the battlefield of life, we lose our power of concentration, our power of meditation. But if one does not lose this power of concentration, then it is called Sahaja Yoga. It is simple, natural, and spontaneous. This yoga is. One can reach the highest and maintain the highest. At the same time, can be in the world activities.
All right, Sri Chinmoy, don't go away. We're going to take a short break here. Coming up, how Sri Chinmoy's philosophy can be applied to today's programs. First, this programming note for you, though. The next edition of Q&A Asia will examine whether democracy is an Asian value, or is it a concept the West is trying to export to the region. Q&A Asia is on at 1300 hours GMT. That's 9 p.m. Hong Kong time. We'll be back after a short break, so stay tuned. We're examining the idea of spiritual healing with international peace advocate Sri Chinmoy. First, in your biography, it notes that you have done 9 million drawings of birds. That's around 400 a day. That's pretty much every day of your life as well. How have you done so many, Sri Chinmoy?
Well, I entirely depend on the grace of God. Some days I do 60, 70,000. I draw birds, but mentally it is not conceivable. But spiritually everything can be done, because spirituality is founded upon God's grace. I pray and meditate, and out of His infinite bounty, God executes His will in and through me, and I receive it according to my receptivity.
Let me ask you how you fit in so much, though, physically, the number of hours in the day where you manage to meet so many international leaders, you meet world leaders, you perform music, you write books, and all those acts of strength. How do you fit everything into the day? How many hours do you sleep, for example?
Well, usually I sleep between 2 and 3 hours, and the rest of the day I am in activities. I write poems, I compose songs, I play music, and so forth. I occupy my time.
Now, all that strength, those acts of strength you perform, lifting an aeroplane full of people and so on, and all these other things you do, when you do these acts, is it to attract attention to your message, or is there another purpose to doing all these things?
Purpose is very simple. I wish to inspire people. I feel inspiration is of paramount importance. If I can inspire someone in one field, then he can inspire me in another field. So if we have inspiration, we can go far, very far. And if we inspire to do something well, which is not at all harmful, then with our mutual inspiration, we can bring about a better world.
Pakistan on the line, on the telephone line. Osman, your question, please.
Well, I want to ask, does spiritualism say it's cut off from the material world, or there is some relation between spiritualism and material?
Okay.
Real spirituality and the material world go side by side. But some people are of the opinion they cannot. But I feel it can. In my case, and also there are many, many who have done it. This is like in prayer and meditation. When you pray and meditate, we live in the inner world, and the next moment we try to be of service to mankind. So we are the same people. At one time, sometimes we are in the meditation room, sometimes we are in the living room, and so forth. So spirituality and the material world must go together. It is spirituality that can inspire the material world to make progress in a divine way.
What danger is there, Sri Chinmoy, that all these things you do, your writing, your artwork, your music, and all these acts of strength, what danger is there that all these things you do detract from your message, that people forget the message you have because they're too busy watching what you do?
Well, as I said before, I am trying to be of service to God the creation. God the creator inspires me and helps me to do something to inspire God the creation. We are all brothers and sisters. As I do something to inspire you, even so you can do something to inspire me. So from inspiration we enter into the world called aspiration. We aspire to become good, divine, and all-loving.
Let me ask you, when you meet world leaders like Nelson Mandela, who you met, in fact, I think you lifted him, what message you bring to them, how they receive your message?
Well, they're very kind to me. It is a message of love and the feeling of oneness. Politics is not my forte. We never discuss politics. We only discuss our inner life, the feeling of oneness. His heart is larger than the largest. When we talk, there is not a single word about politics. It is all feeling of oneness, how through prayers and meditations, and how we can have genuine love for the world at large. So when I lived him, it is only a kind of congratulating him. Being an Indian, I feel I am inwardly a way of congratulating him, and out of his infinite bounty, he agreed to be congratulated the way I wanted him to.
Sri Chinmoy, what's your message and what's your view on current conflicts like the Kosovo situation in the Balkans? Everyone's focusing on that. What approach would you suggest, for example, with your message?
Well, I can only pray for peace. I cannot say who is right, who is wrong. Who am I to say? God alone knows. But being a student of peace, prayer is my forte. I pray for God's will to manifest here on earth so that we can have a world of perfect harmony.
You've met leaders from all kinds of religion, all kinds of backgrounds. What is your view on organized religion?
Well, for me, there is only one religion, love of God. When you organize something, we are bound to enter into the world of the mind that divides and the mind that wants to be divided. But when you enter into the world of the heart, then it is all oneness, oneness. We sing the song of oneness. So for me, the real religion is love of God. If I love God, and if you love God, if others love God, then there can be no conflict whatsoever.
Well, Sri Chinmoy, we've run out of time, but we thank you. Wish we could discuss more of your amazing feats here on Q&A, but we thank you for taking questions and wish you good luck with your message.
Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you. Everyone has their own approach to finding spirituality. For some, it's through organized religion. Others look elsewhere. Ultimately, it's good to respect the person's beliefs, whatever they are, and to recognize their efforts for others. But on the next edition of Q&A, we examine the propaganda war that's being fought over Kosovo, what both sides are doing to win the battle for public support. You can join us for that. Stay tuned. There's more coming up on CNN.